the 8th of July. A very good evening. This is the weekend edition of Primetime News. I'm Zola Outsgood. We start off today with a look at our headlines.
Prime Minister announces stance on proposed constitution. Free Media Movement refutes statement made by Director General of Government Information. Minister Sarath Fonseca expresses his views on Gotabaya. Minister Vijay Muni Soisa speaks of inactive portfolios during previous government.
Starting off with our top story this evening. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe made an announcement on the proposed new constitution while in Anuradhapura. He visited the historic city to obtain blessings from the Jaya Srima Bodhi.
The Prime Minister called on the Atamasthanaadhipati Venerable Dr. Pallegama Srinivasa Thera and engaged in a cordial discussion.
There is talk of stealing donation boxes. The donation boxes here were sealed during the time of late Sirimava Bandaranayake. Since then, the donations were calculated once in every 3 months via the Commissioner of Buddhist Affairs. This is nothing new to us. The donation boxes at the temple of the sacred tooth relic are also sealed.
Thereafter, the Prime Minister paid reverence to the Jaya Srima Bodhi and obtained blessings. He also paid reverence to the Ruanvelli Saya and then proceeded to inaugurate the construction of a building to accommodate monks, which was carried out under the directive of the President. Another religious event took place in line with the inauguration.
What has been prepared in relation to the Constitution is an interim report and certain principles. Some areas will see the inclusion of alternatives. After public opinion is sought for the Constitution, they will be raised at the Constitutional Assembly. Then a report will be prepared and thereafter the draft act will be formulated. At this time, I am in favour of a new Constitution. No government or religious organizations can intervene to change the Constitution. The compositions of all Buddhist sects cannot be changed. There were statements that Buddhism is in danger and a government does not accept that. We have spoken with the Mahasangha. I am making a proposal, and after the interim report is given to the Constitutional Assembly, we anticipate your support. That is how we can protect Buddhism from danger.
Today marks a very important day in the Buddhist calendar as Buddhists the world over observe Asala Full Moon Poya Day.
In Buddhist literature, Asala Poya Day marks the conception of the Bodhisattva in the womb of Queen Mahamaya. Furthermore, it was on a day like this that Lord Buddha renounces worldly pleasures and fortunes and preached his first Dhamma doctrine, the Dhammachakrapavatana Sutra. It was also on this Poya Day that the tooth relic was brought to Sri Lanka by Princess Hemamala and Prince Danta, giving birth to the Dalada Perahera. Asala Full Moon Poya Day commemorates the commencement of the Vas season, marking the Bhikkhu's retreat during the rainy season. The Poya Dhamma sermon took place at the Shakimalakaya this morning opposite the MTV MBC head office premises. Hakros Chemicals Private Limited, a member of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited, supported the event.
Moving to more news this evening, Minister Mahinda Amaravira responded to former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa's statement on attempts made to arrest him.
Yesterday, Minister Mahinda Amaravira had informed several Sri Lanka Freedom Party MPs that I will be arrested in a month. This is not justice. If Minister Mahinda Amaravira takes up the case, carries out the investigation and gives a ruling, that is not independent and that is not fair.
එහෙම එතනන් අසාධාරණයක් නෑනේ.
මම තමත් කනගාටු වෙනවා එතුමා ඒ වගේ ප්‍රකාශයක් සිදු කිරීම පිළිබඳව.
I am disappointed that he would make such a statement. I inquired from him yesterday over the phone about the information that he received on this issue. Then he told me that the statement was made based on information that one of the Rajapaksas received with regarding to this. I would like to clearly state that I am not morally low to seek happiness by putting him behind bars or punishing him. I am aware of attempts that will be made in the future. A meeting had taken place 2 weeks ago, and that is where the plan was made. A person operating via Facebook and several politicians were present. I will be able to make a revelation in the coming weeks. I am not the minister in charge of the police. I am not representing the party that holds that portfolio. That is not only defamation of character, but also a program that threatens one's life.
මේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන වැඩපිළිවෙලේ එක් අංගයක් විදිහට තමයි මේ සඳහන් කරන්නේ.
ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ රාජපක්ෂවරුන් යුද්ධයට සම්බන්ධ වීම තුලයි චෝදනා ඉවත් කරගත යුතුයි නැත්නම් පරීක්ෂණ ගත කළ යුතුයි කියලා.
නෑ මම එහෙම කියනව නෙවෙයි.
No, that is not what I am saying. It is not my responsibility to carry out an investigation and enforce a punishment. If allegations are being made against someone, I am in favor of giving them a pardon.
දියුතුයි කියන මතේ ඉන්න කෙනෙක් මම.
ඒ පැහැදිලිව කියන්න ඕනේ මහින්ද අමරවීර.
I would like to clearly state that Mahinda Amaravira is the General Secretary of the UPFA. The members of the SLFP or the UPFA do not intend to hurt the Rajapaksa family. If you dig deep, you will find out that this is a rumor against Mahinda Rajapaksa, and neither Gotabaya Rajapaksa or Mahinda Amaravira made this statement. Therefore, I vehemently reject this statement because this is an attempt to divide the party.
Minister Sarath Fonseca has also responded to a statement made by Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa tells the media that it was he who won the war and it is wrong to send him to prison. We do not accept that he won the war. He was overseas for 15 years. He did not even know if the country had a constitution. He had sworn on the Bible that he will protect the Constitution of America. Therefore, he has no right to speak about this country's constitution and security. What expertise does he possess to educate us on war strategy? He was away for 15 years. He is trying to portray that his return to Sri Lanka attributed to war victory. Though he returned to the country, he was in air-conditioned rooms in Colombo. Former presidents and former commanders of the army worked tirelessly. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was not in the country at that time. His conscience would know whether he actually did something in the war or not. If he has done any wrong, he will have to face it the same way everyone else faces it. The law is equal to all.
Minister Vijay Munisosa, speaking in Kubegane, commented on inactive portfolios during previous government.
I was a cabinet minister in the former government and I am a cabinet minister in the present government. I too am accountable for actions of the former government because I was a member of the government. However, we were what you call switched off people. We were ministers by name only. 75% of the national budget was for the Rajapaksa family. Thereafter, Basil Rajapaksa was given the position of Minister of Economic Development. He gets involved in everything. When an elephant is killed, I am responsible. And when man is killed by an elephant, I am responsible. The electric fence is set up by Basil. That was the situation. I did not say the phrase, "the father is dead," out of anger. The cabinet ministers were summoned. He told that he was defeated and was going home. We could not speak to him. We did not cook in our homes. We cried. We were targeted. Thankfully, Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara made an explanation. If not, we will be still targeted. Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara was also present at the event. We made a request as the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to strengthen the presidential system. If the provincial councils are given power, Sambandhan and his team are in a positive position on this matter. They held discussions with us. We said the president should be given the power to dissolve the provincial councils if the councils are given power over police and property matters, and they are ready to give that power. So are we going to stand as a country and work, or are we going to be like Hanuman and burn it down? Only one of the two can be done. So I would like to make it clear that we are not ready for anything that would divide this country.
A briefing on a streamlined process of garbage collection took place at the Colombo premises of the Colombo Municipal Council today.
Over 3,000 tons of garbage that piled up for weeks in the Colombo city was removed, and the piling up of garbage in Colombo has been brought under control. This is only a temporary measure. We will be enforcing the law strictly to apprehend those who dispose garbage in an ad hoc manner before the private garbage collection units arrive. We are hoping to commence a number of projects that will help generate electricity using garbage, and we would be able to see a conducive environment for this over the next 14 months. We are planning on establishing a main garbage unit and a resource unit in Aruakkaru Putlam. We are also planning on commencing operations in September. We request the public to refrain from dumping garbage on the streets, dispose them at permitted locations and only hand them over at institutions that are vested with the power by the CMC. This has affected tourism as well. This is the main cause for the spread of dengue. The Colombo Municipal Council is one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. We know that the collection of garbage benefits some officers as well as politicians. I believe we can overcome the challenge through this joint program. We have given the needed assistance for the Muthurajawala Urban Development Authority to dispose garbage collected from Colombo, Kolonava, Wattala, Kalaniya and Kotte areas. I would like to beg of you to refrain from saying we don't need garbage from Colombo. Colombo is not the capital of Maldives, but it is our capital. Garbage comes from outside. What if the Colombo people close the Kalaniya bridge and say that no goods could pass through? What do you think will happen? The constitution says that we are one country, but when garbage comes into the picture, can we say it's a different country? Around 700 tons of garbage collected in Colombo is from the visitors. The people in other areas must understand this. We must be united to find a solution to this.
Startling information has come to light in relation to the document that has provisions to penalize journalists.
The document, which has been titled the Independent Council for News Media Standards Act, proposes for the appointment of a council that would be chaired by either a retired judge or an attorney. This council will be able to impose fines and prison sentences against media institutions and journalists following judicial procedures. A perilous fact in this document is that media institutions are bound to disclose all information to the council.
This was announced at the cabinet meeting. The approval was to receive the opinion of the public.
However, the then Minister of Mass Media expressed something different to what was said by Karan Surya on the specific cabinet meeting.
We are not prepared to enforce anything. Media organizations, owners of media institutions, journalists, citizens and intellectuals can submit their suggestions.
It has now been established that the process of preparing this document and deliberations have taken place without any transparency.
If there is a person who is playing a role to earn brownie points, let them do so. These documents must come to Parliament to be passed. I ask the media institutions, do not panic. There is no need for the introduction on a bill related to media. There is no need to suppress the media.
I have heard about that, but it was not discussed by the ministers.
It is proven that the statement made by the Director General of Government Information claiming to have discussed the matter with media organizations is false. The Free Media Movement affirms that following the first ever discussion on this document, no other discussion had taken place. It adds that neither the movement or its representative Sita Ranjani had been informed of any. The Free Media Movement notes that it was only through the newspapers they came to be aware of the cabinet decision to seek public opinion. The Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association yesterday announced that it never attended any meeting in relation to appointing a committee or any other matter on regulating the media.
A small group aspires to abolish the Press Council. This is not something that is done for the freedom of journalists. This is done based on personal needs. It proposes to impose fines and punishments that have never been proposed before. In its history of 40 years, the Sri Lanka Press Council has never penalized anyone or fined anyone. We have protected the freedom of the media. The country has not reached a situation where there is no human rights or democracy. Similarly, there is no need to abolish the Press Council. Abolishing democratic institutions like the Press Council can be considered as betraying human rights. This is being done by the group that works against the government but claims to be supportive of the government.
The public has expressed displeasure over the statements made by Ranga Karan Surya, the Director of the Government Information. The media have always stood by us. The NGOs have never supported us. Whenever a natural disaster takes place, the media comes to us like a breath. This is evident during the recent floods. It is indeed questionable as to why there's an attempt to destroy that.
The media gives us meal packets. It is 2 days later that the government officers come to inquire into our well-being. If there is an attempt to suppress the media that fulfills its responsibilities, we vehemently condemn that. The media renders a service that is beyond the state mechanism. This can be seen as an attempt to suppress them and impose restrictions on them. Therefore, we as the general public would like to inform the Director General of Government Information that the media knows its limits. Before you impose limits on the media, you must understand what your limits are. These so-called directors of media and others were never seen in television even in the recent past. They are not connected to the day-to-day lives of people. Therefore, the requirement via the government is to present a code of ethics.
Politicians and civil organizations have called on the government to seize all assets earned by Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Suspending the activities of Perpetual Treasuries for 6 months is like closing the stable once the horses have escaped. We said this long before. This should have been done as soon as facts about deal was revealed. Is there a way to correct all the wrong that was done even after a period of 6 months? It is only after the money has been invested in various other interests that the central bank has decided to suspend Perpetual Treasuries. They should be permanently removed from the primary dealer list. The gamble with the government must be stopped. COPE recommended that all assets earned by be seized by the government. There needs to be a process to prevent any other organization from generating illegal profits in the future. We have reached a decisive ending. Public funds must be returned to the Treasury, and that needs to be an important step. It is clear that they earned 8 to 12 billion from the Employees Provident Fund alone. The Auditor General had presented facts. There needs to be a process where the funds will be returned to the Treasury. This cannot stop with the decision. If the looted funds are to be reclaimed, all accounts of Perpetual Treasuries have to be frozen. It must be taken under the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. They must inquire as to what transactions were entered into in the past. Who facilitated these transactions? What benefits were provided? They must also commence an investigation into the institutions that entered into transactions with Perpetual Treasuries. There is a mechanism for this within the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. P. Samarasiri, who was the former chairman of the tender committee in the central bank, continues to serve in the bank. There are many others like that. A decision must be taken regarding them. They are acting on the premise that a bond scam has not taken place and Perpetual Treasuries Limited has done nothing wrong. They attempt to do that. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka is under Ranil Wickremesinghe. An internal investigation must be launched and the related personnel must be sent on leave. Good evening, you're tuned on to the weekend edition of Primetime News. We're following on some local news this evening. The Ministry of Health says the delay in seeking medication is the main cause for dengue to claim more lives. Dr. Jasundar Bandara, Director General of Health Services, said this was understood after analysing patient records.
The number of people receiving in-house treatment for dengue at hospitals across the country continues to increase by the day. So far this year, 80,732 dengue patients have been reported, while the death toll stands at 227. The National Dengue Prevention Unit reports of a high number of dengue patients from the Western Province and the districts of Kurunegala, Putlam, Kegaul, Ratnapura, Gaul, Mathura, Jaffna, Batiklo and Trincomalee. A clean-up campaign took place at the Negombo District Hospital today. When inquired, it was revealed that the mosquito larva was discovered from one of the closed-down toilets in the hospital premises. People have become a decisive factor. The people have started to clean their surroundings and have begun waste management. The change in attitude is a good shift in society, and that will enable us to face such situations in the future. The infectious disease hospital continues to be overwhelmed by dengue patients. At present, 497 patients are being treated at the hospital, which can accommodate only 200 in-house patients.
Newsfirst wishes a speedy recovery for all who have been affected by dengue. A multi-day fishing vessel with 5 fishermen that set off from Dondra Head port is reported missing.
The vessel had left port on the 25th of June and had maintained contact with the radio tower until the 27th of June. According to the Dondra Head radio tower, the vessel Dinara maintained contact until 27th of June. Relatives say the fishermen had changed course to Hambantota after meeting another group at sea.
They had told to come towards Hambantota sighting there would be a better catch. These fishermen had changed course. In this sea area, there are many of our boats. If they were fishing in this area, there wouldn't have been an issue.
Relatives believe the group may be stranded at sea due to a technical failure in the vessel. The missing fishermen are Sarat Jaisingha, Ajit Priyantha, Nimal Siri, Manoj Madhusankar from Dondra Head and Sujit Tushara from Valigama. On the 4th, my sister called and told me that the boat was missing. On Thursday, there were reports of a boat colliding with a ship. I was worried if it was this boat. I cried. We have never received any word from them. It's been 13 days since they set off to sea. We have not heard from them at all. Please find them and return them to us. Recently, 2 multi-day fishing boats which left the Hambantota Fisheries Harbour collided with a ship in the sea off Hambantota. Several fishermen remain missing following the collision.
Construction for the first village under the Grama Shakti housing program commenced today.
The village, which will become the 424th model village in the country, is being built in Siribopura, Hambantota. The village will be named Kokilajoti Village. Financial aid and title deeds were presented at the event. Artists were never supported in the past, yet they managed to get slogans announced via artists and other popular personalities from this field. They even held meetings and media briefings to pave their way to temple trees and the presidential palace using the artists. The artist was never given due recognition. Artists with hidden talents and no land to their name will be given lands, and a village will be built in every district of the country.
Veteran journalist Prabhat Veeruratne has passed away. Prabhat Veeruratne, who was a product of Ananda College, Colombo, served as the media secretary of Karul Jayasuriya and as an editor at a number of print media institutions. He was serving at the Sathan newspaper at the time of his passing. He passed away after suffering a heart attack while leaving work last night. He was a father of 2 daughters. The remains of Prabhat Veeruratne will be placed at his residence located down Jayantimawati in Himbutana, Mullairiava. The funeral will take place on Monday at the Udumulla Public Cemetery in Mullairiava. A mobile medical clinic took place today at the Punagiri Central College in Kilinochchi. The program was launched with the assistance of a group of doctors led by Dr. Lakshman L. Veerasinghe, Kilinochchi Army Headquarters and the Army Medical Team. Checkups were conducted for dengue, malaria and other diseases. For news, follow us on our website www.newsfirst.lk. That's a wrap. Take care. Good night.